Hey guys, Barrett here. Welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about the top 5 most common dinking mistakes in pickleball. As you get better in the sport, you're going to be dinking a lot more often, so it's really important to have a really clear sort of take on the dinking world, on how to do it, the best strategies, and so on. Stay tuned towards the end of the video where I'm going to give you my top mistake, the most important one by far. But hey, real quick, scroll down to the comments and let me know what you guys would like to see in terms of pickleball content. I'm open to suggestions. I would love to hear what you guys think in terms of what you would like. If you see a comment down there that you agree with, like, yeah, I'd like to see that, give it a thumbs up. And if you don't see it, go ahead and create your own comment. I would really appreciate y'all's thoughts and ideas when it comes to content. Anyway, let's get started. Okay, the first mistake we're talking about here is a pretty common one, and it has to do with body positioning or footwork. So the mistake is that whenever you're taking a dink either to your backhand way over here or to your forehand over here, although it's much more common with the backhand, people tend to cross over with their foot. And this is a huge mistake. It's either the crossover here or it's a lean over like this, okay? So just real quick, do this little experiment. Stand straight up with a balanced position, okay? Lean over to your left like this to where a lot of your weight is on your left foot, and then try to take a step. It's really hard to do because all of your weight is over here. Now get back into your balanced position, take a step first and then lean. So much easier to do, right? The same thing applies to dinking. If you get a backhand dink over here, the big mistake is the upper body comes through first or the foot comes through, okay? And then the footwork happens, okay? So it's like this. They lean and then they try to step. And that's a huge, huge error because it ruins the whole balance of your posture, okay? So if I'm dinking back and forth here and she gives me a backhand dink, I'm gonna step first and then do my swing, okay? It's a step first, then swing. Feet first, swing later, okay? So dinking again here, balanced position, step, and then dink. And that's what it's going to look like. You have to have the confidence to move your feet first. When you begin to do that, it makes the process so much easier. I know it's tempting to try to lean with your paddle first or with your right foot, in my case. Don't do it. Use that outer foot first, like that. Makes it so much easier. Okay, the next mistake is more of like a strategy or tactics mistake with dinking, and that is repetitive dinking, or doing the same dink over and over and over again. If I were to sit here and dink back and forth, and I were to do the exact same thing over and over and over again, as if I'm like warming up, well, guess what I'm doing? Although I'm being consistent with my dinks, the problem is that I'm training her on how to hit them. So if you do the same thing over and over and over again, you're not getting any kind of tempo increase or any kind of time advantage in the dinking rally. All you're doing is doing the same thing over and over again. You're giving your opponent the chance to do something, okay? This is why in high level play, you see dinks going all over the place. You don't want to give your opponent that time. So just to start out with, you don't do anything crazy, but to start out, just go to the backhand and then go to the forehand. Just to start out. Backhand and then forehand. Notice how much more she's having to work for these balls, right? Just that little tip alone can really help when it comes to dinking. So don't do the same dink over and over and over again. Try to do something different as you're going. All right, the next mistake is dead dinking or flat dinking. And what this is just a normal ball that is almost like you're just tossing it like this, like that. And it has very little spin on it. And it's very easy for your opponent to deal with, okay? So an example would be this, watch. Literally just hitting it up like that. If you're a beginner, an absolute beginner, there's nothing wrong with this. But as you advance, the problem is that your opponent is going to take advantage of that, okay? There's a couple of things that you can do. Spin is the obvious one. Positioning is another one, but I want you to focus on directing your dinks, okay? What that means is that I'm gonna try to push my paddle forward and direct the dink low, kind of low over the net, right, like this, watch. Notice how that ball went a little bit lower over the net and it kind of went forward and sort of deep into the kitchen. That's what I'm talking about. Like that. A little bit more difficult to get, and most importantly, they don't bounce up high. Okay, if she were to give me a dink that bounces up high, watch what happens. That's gonna happen. That's what happens to high level play. Like a 4-5 player will do that all day long. So try to either get some spin on the dinks or try to push them forward so that they don't bounce high in the middle of the kitchen. Another very common dinking mistake, and one that I deal with sometimes, and especially prevalent on the 5th shot dink, is coming up on the ball. Okay, let me show you. Like this. People will go like that. This is not good, because if you were to just slightly miss-hit that ball because your paddle is coming up at the same time, you're going to miss-hit it on the bottom of the paddle and it's just going to go into the net. It's so important to be patient with these dinks, to let yourself stay low through it, and then you can come up afterwards. Okay, so don't come up on it like that. Stay low through the shot. Notice how I'm staying low and then coming up. A good rule of thumb that you can use is when you make visual contact with the paddle in front of you, that means that you can come back up. Okay, so watch. Waiting to see my paddle and then I can come back up. Okay, trying to come up on the ball, stay low. Okay, number 1, and the most important mistake to understand here, is not taking dinks out of the air or not doing dink volleys. This will change everything if you learn how to do this properly. Let me show you what this looks like when you don't take dinks out of the air. So hard to do because I'm constantly having to short hop things and they come back to my feet and it's hard to deal with. Instead, have the confidence to meet the ball in front of you early out here. Okay, remember, this is not a kitchen fault. The kitchen is the physical ground, not the area above it. The key to reach out in front of you, but to squat at the same time. Okay, notice how I'm just sitting. That's all it is. It's just a sitting motion. That gets your paddle low so that the ball will meet here. All right, watch. Notice how much more control I had over these shots. And look, if it ends up being a shot that you can't volley, that you can't dink volley, it's no big deal. You can just let it bounce. But a ball that bounces in the kitchen is much easier to get than a ball that bounces 3 inches away from your toes. So just go ahead and assume that it's going to happen. Go ahead and get yourself into that position before they even strike the ball. Do you see how I prepped for that? That's the key. If you learn how to dink volley properly, there's a couple of things that'll happen. First of all, you reduce time that they'll be ready for the shot because your shot is happening earlier. Not only that, but it's so much more easier to control, right? You're not having to deal with a bounce on this side. And if there was spin on the ball, there's a lot of different variables that can pop up. So those are the top 5 mistakes with dinking. All right, guys, that's it. Those are the top 5 mistakes. The biggest one being the dink volleys. When you really get used to this stuff, it really changes the way you think about dinking. And when you change your thinking around dinking, then you can really start to change your game. I hope that was helpful, guys. Head on over to pickleballkitchen.com. Got a bunch of stuff on there. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And as usual, I'll see you next time.